Have you felt it? That kind of low-level buzz of anxiety about AI and the economy. It feels like in just the last few months, the whole conversation has shifted from this abstract what-if thing to something that feels way more immediate and intense. So, okay, let's dive into exactly why that's happening. I mean, this quote from a financial analyst just captures the mood perfectly, right? It really does feel like we're on the edge of something huge, and this new wave of economic fears just washing over Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and probably your LinkedIn feed too.
So what's the deal? What changed? Why has the tone shifted so dramatically and so quickly? Well, that's what we're going to unpack. We're going to connect the dots between a terrifying new economic report and a single explosive chart that some are calling the most important in the world right now. Okay, so it all starts here, with this research note from a firm called Katrini Research. And look, the ideas in it aren't totally new, but its timing and how it's being received, that's what makes it so important. It's basically confirming the worst fears people have about what AI is going to do to our society.
The report, it paints a pretty grim picture. It argues that cheap machine intelligence is going to get so abundant that it'll push workers out of every single part of the economy. All that wealth gets funneled straight to capital owners, and society basically breaks down. Now, like I said, we've heard theories like this before, but the difference now, people are actually starting to believe it. And a huge reason for that comes down to one explosive set of data.
To really get the fear, you have to understand the data that's fueling it, and this is it, the MIR chart. It tracks the capability of what we call AI agents. It's become the benchmark for measuring progress, and for a while, it was showing a pretty predictable, if, rapid, rate of improvement.
So the chart measures something called agentic time horizon. Now, it's really important to get what this means. This is not how long an AI can work on a problem. It's a measure of the difficulty of a problem it can solve. The benchmark is just how long it would take a skilled human engineer to do that same exact thing.
For a while, this chart was almost comforting in its predictability. It showed AI capability doubling every 7 months or so, which is why it got the nickname Moore's Law for AI. The pace was even picking up. It was projected to hit a 3-month doubling rate. Fast, for sure, but still a curve we could kind of get our heads around.
But then, new data dropped. And that nice, predictable curve, it didn't just bend. It completely broke. The latest generation of models from Anthropic and OpenAI didn't just follow the trend. They absolutely shattered it. It started with Opus 4.5. It clocked in with a time horizon of nearly 5 hours. Now, this was a huge jump. We're talking almost a full doubling in a single model generation. At the time, people kind of thought, okay, maybe that's a one-off, an outlier. Well, they were wrong. Next up was GPT 5.3, which pushed that frontier even further, all the way to a 6.5-hour time horizon. The acceleration wasn't a fluke. It was real. But believe it or not, the biggest shock was still to come. And this is the moment everything changed. Anthropic's Opus 4.6 came in with a time horizon of 14.5 hours. It didn't just beat the last record, it more than tripled the capability of its own predecessor from just a few months before. Insane. Just look at this. Seeing it laid out visually really drives the point home. This isn't a curve anymore, it's a vertical wall. That jump from Opus 4.5 to 4.6 is the single largest generational leap ever recorded in this study. It's just staggering.
So what's the result of that vertical jump? Well, the new doubling rate for AI agentic capability is now just 1.5 months, down from 7 months, down from a projected 3 months, all the way down to 6 weeks. This is the number that is fueling both the incredible excitement and the hysteria.
Okay, but before we all officially panic, it is absolutely crucial to understand what this chart doesn't show. The researchers at Meteor themselves have been really quick to add some very important context to these mind-bending numbers.
So this is the most common mistake people make. Again, a 14.5-hour time horizon does not mean the AI works for that long. It means it can solve a problem that is so difficult it would take a human expert 14.5 hours to crack it. The AI might solve it in just a few minutes. It's a measure of complexity, not stamina. And there's more. Get this. These results are based on a 50% success rate. That is literally a coin flip, not something you trust in a real product. The creators also admit the data is extremely noisy and that the benchmark itself is saturating, which basically means they're running out of hard enough problems to even test the AIs on. And that upper confidence interval of 98 hours, that just shows you how wide the margin of error is getting.
So how do we get from this, this noisy, complicated chart with all these caveats to predictions of total economic collapse?
Well, it's all about how an abstract threat can suddenly feel very, very real.
Here's the chain reaction, right? First, the data shows this capability exploding at a rate nobody saw coming. That makes the whole idea of AI agents doing real work feel tangible, not like science fiction anymore. And suddenly, those abstract predictions from reports like Katrina's, they feel like they could happen next year, not in 10 years. And that's the moment these doomer scenarios break out and go mainstream. So, yeah, are some people probably overhyping the chart? Sure. And are there really important caveats? Absolutely. But as the analyst Vimedino puts it, that doesn't mean it's actually not very, very big. The progress is just undeniable. You can't just dismiss it because the measurement is imperfect. The underlying leap forward is real.
And, that really leaves us with the most important question of all. The acceleration is a fact. The anxiety is real. So if we want to avoid the grim future that the doomers are predicting, what's the alternative? What does a positive vision for a world of hypercompetent AI actually look like? Because that is the conversation we desperately, desperately need to start having right now.